Bonjour. The Holy Hour podcast, the All Cure podcast. Hello, I am Gavin, and surprise, I'm not French. And I am joined by Antonio. How's it going, man?
Good, and I am also not in Paris.
No, but we are talking about Paris today in all its glory in the Cure's latest reissue of Paris on double vinyl, reissued on CD. And looking good.
Remastered.
Yeah. And first off, though, how you doing, man? Have a good birthday and everything, right?
Yep. All's been good. Another year in the books. My 13-year-old son brought up to me yesterday. He goes, like every year you get older, your birthday becomes less insignificant because it's like it's like a different percentage of your life that you've lived. Like it means more when you're little because it's a larger chunk of your life. And I was like,
wow.
Whoa. I'm like, slow down.
Damn. Kind of right, though.
I was like, why don't you twist that knife of getting old?
It's more significant because we only got so many of these left, dude.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, anyone can turn 6.
Yeah, jeez. That's awesome.
But it was good. It came right after the first weekend of having the new Cult Leader EP out, Haunted.
Yeah.
So it's been fun finally getting that out into the world. So been kind of pumped on that.
And yeah, you got a Cure reissue almost on your birthday, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
right beforehand, so that's always nice.
Yeah, it was almost like getting a little present. Anytime we can get a little something new, and especially something new that's physical.
Mm-hmm.
Like physical copies. Which, again, I'm very happy that at least we're continuing to be able to collect physical aspects of music still, and the Cure's music, to boot. It just seems like, as days go by, like I said, releasing this EP, like there's no physical copies of it. And it's like I toy with, do you make a CD? Because I'm not going to press enough vinyl that that I'm actually going to move, that I would be able to sell it at a decent price. So it's just like the weird depression of physical music disappearing, gets held back every time I get to purchase kind of, so especially a new, yes, it's an older record, but it's a newer, thing, and it's a first time, and it's a vinyl I don't have. It's out of the live albums, this one I didn't have,
right.
Either in an official or in a bootleg capacity,
right.
So it checks off that list of like, cool, I feel like the catalog is getting closer to being of like having all the stuff I want.
We'll get into all the specifics, but it is one we were saying is definitely was a much needed reissue too. Some of these you get them and it's just kind of cool to have the updated remaster or whatever, but then there's the ones that have kind of couple factors of why we needed this, like one, it was that era of nobody really had this on original vinyl, so it's going ridiculous amounts.
For instance, when you look it up, on vinyl, European release in October of 93, a copy that's beat beyond compare sells for about $110, and if you've got a mint copy, you're spending between $600 and $700 because it's so that's when you can tell it's rare.
And even the CD supporter side of myself was super happy that they stuck with CDs and they got that out too, because it is nice just to have it boosted and remastered.
Exactly. So like what you had, what we had with Wish, like you were able to get it in multiple formats. I did not get the CD. Now I'm kind of like, I wish I did. As now I look at like my CD collection of Cure stuff. I'm like, damn it, I might have to get my hands on that. Might have to reach out to the fine folks at Rhino and beg.
Come on. So yeah, it's really cool because and anybody all this Cure fans that had the CD. The CD's looking pretty rough by this point anyway, too. So it's
Yeah,
good to
for
have a
sure.
new,
Yeah,
freshened up version. So this is one
definitely.
that definitely got a lot of love, I think, from Cure fans around that era. A lot of people had it on tape. I remember this one being in many friends' cars,
Yeah, a lot of
driving around. This
right.
was kind of the tail end of the tapes, even. So yeah,
Yeah, for sure. This might be, and now I think about it, it might be the first live album of it is. Yeah. This the Paris is definitely the first Cure live record I ever bought. Yeah.
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 You got that before
Because
show.
you know what it was? It was one of those things where you had X amount of dollars and you're at Tower
Yeah,
Records or whatever it may be, and it's like you kind of flip over and like everything's got a little bit of the songs that you love, so you're like which one, and I think Cure Paris for sure I definitely think has the coolest cover.
yeah,
So I think the artwork where if you're kind of, I mean, maybe in Treat, but in Treat obviously is very hyper focused on one,
yeah.
on one album.
Totally.
So it's one of those things where again, if you're only buying one, which one are you gonna buy?
Yeah,
And at that time, that's the one I grabbed.
cool. Yeah.
And I think the cover definitely was one of the things that kind of grabbed me about it. It's
Cool.
kind of
Yeah, we'll get into that too. The new one versus the old one. There's a little differences, kind of like the other one. So if you really do it's like one of those highlights magazines or whatever where you spot the difference.
Yeah. You're in the doctor's
Yeah,
office.
you're like, oh, I didn't notice that. But before we dive into the details, let's do a quick little background just to catch everybody up on Paris in general. This was recorded over 3 nights, October 19th, 20th, and 21st in 1992 on the Wish tour at Le Zenith in Paris. Apparently, this was the first Zenith arena or stadium, whatever you would call it, is that they did a franchise of these all over. And this was the original one. Its capacity is surprisingly only 6,300, which when you compare that to recent, places we've seen the Cure, Merriweather's
Madison
like,
Square Garden.
Madison Square Garden's like 19,500, right? So that's pretty crazy because this is considered their mainstream commercial peak here. And but I think, it was probably even considered a pretty small one on that tour. It's a bigger venue for Paris, I think, but that's probably why they recorded it, because it was a little more special and intimate, probably.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at it in comparison to playing like Wembley, it's a tiny venue.
Yeah. So it's pretty cool that was captured. It was released after being recorded in 92. It wasn't released until almost the full year later, October 26th, 93. Of course, we just got the reissue March 22nd of this year. So they didn't miss not the nitpick, but we missed the 30th by a little bit, but not much, We can blame COVID still or so. Those vinyl printing.
Pressing plants.
Those pressing plants.
Taylor Swift.
Yeah, fucking Taylor Swift again. Jeez. But, basically 30-year anniversary since it came out. Show came out about a month earlier back in the day. I remember that being like, what? We're getting 2 live albums? Sweet, and it was cool and pretty clear right off the bat what they were doing with this.
Yeah, that's also kind of interesting too, where right now when you go look up on Spotify, for instance, when you go look at the albums, it's funny that you get 2 different years where I guess I kind of see why, where the original one says 1993, but when you look at this reissue, it says 1992 because they put 1992 after it says live at Le Zenith 1992.
Yeah,
so it's just funny because initial look, you're like, oh wait, 2 different years, and this one was released now in 2024. But it's
live albums are always a little weird like that. I was like, do you go by when it was recorded or when it was released?
Right. It's like, do you put the release date or the recorded date?
But in general though, it was, I think, kind of the whole idea was to show that the other side of the Wish tour, being a companion disc basically to Show, which was pretty cool because Show did kind of focus on singles and actual Wish tracks more. This one, surprisingly,
Yes.
look at it again, is only has one Wish track on it. And it's, a pretty deep cut one too. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
Or
yeah,
two,
exactly.
sorry. I wasn't counting Letter to Elise, but so you got a
Right,
part and
yeah.
Letter to Elise. So two
Yeah,
tracks.
and you don't get a part on too much.
Yeah, that's why I think I
So
was.
it to me that's also I think one of the lean in factors on like which one I'll go play, when I'm going to, just
Yeah, it's
quickly scrolling and I want to put something on that's live, you know. I'll tend to go to some of the, obviously like the later ones because they're longer,
yeah,
like and some of the bigger ones. But this, like when you're just going for, all right, my drive is short. I
yeah,
want to listen to the Cure live. Like
and
a part is one of those things that really pushes it over the edge to why I'll always go to Paris
yeah,
because
it's
because I really do love that song.
yeah, and you don't hear them a
It's an
billion
underrated Cure
times. Yeah,
track.
even for
Yeah,
we've as much as we all love In Between Days and Just Like Heaven. It's like, do you need to hear it every time you put on a live album?
I love it.
So
Yeah,
it's kind
yeah,
of nice to
exactly.
have. This is really glowing that it's for the fans. It's the deeper cuts that you've not quite as massacred as far as plays and stuff. So
Yeah,
only
yeah.
6
Charlotte
of the
sometimes.
14 tracks are even singles, so that's pretty cool
Hmm.
that more than half of them aren't even singles. A lot go back to the older albums like At Night and stuff, so that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
No repeats, thankfully, of show. I wouldn't be surprised from most bands if they'd put out 2 and they would put Just Like Heaven on this one too, or something. You know what I mean? Just to
Right. Yeah,
cover all the
yeah.
bases. So that's pretty cool that they just
Yeah, and I definitely feel I'm sure that was deliberate on Robert's part,
yeah. Because
like
I mean, technically, it would be a different version from a different night. So I mean, it wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. But at the same time, I'm glad they didn't, just to
right.
make it a whole different thing. Yeah, while they're not totally crazy deep cuts, they become more rare over the years. Like some of these that weren't
Yes,
that.
because as you start adding your catalog, the cream of the crop is the stuff that you're then picking from the older. You can't
Yeah.
you can't go to all of it when you start mixing in,
So
you know.
yeah, it's pretty cool, and the fact that it did boil down to this was also a charity, a huge part of 50% of the royalties of this album back then even went to Red Cross and Red Crescent movement to support international relief work, which is cool. But then I saw that still printed on the new one, so hopefully it's still going there even. So that's pretty cool. If
Yeah.
they just didn't want to change the album art.
Yeah, right.
But I'm assuming
Yeah, I
they'd probably
wonder.
still give 50% of the royalties out. This album was voted most popular live album on the recent Cure Awards here on the Holy Hour podcast. So,
That's
with
right.
a glowing 41%, beating out Entreat and Show. So, the fans were either hyped by this release or, it really is a fan favorite. So, I think a lot of people hold this one pretty dear to their heart, too. And I think a lot of sentimental value with people too. I think a lot of, just when I was in school and kids that were, I had a couple years on them, but they were just friends were getting into the Cure around Wish. It was a huge jump on board era for Cure fans. And so a lot of them were happy to snag this up too. So I remember it being a pretty big deal. Like I was saying, driving around in people's cars
Yeah.
and stuff. Everybody always had the Paris tape or show, and just
Hmm.
constantly playing on loop. So the original track listing. So, and note that I say
Yeah.
original track
We'll get to
listing.
that. Yes. Yeah.
So, just like we said, they pretty much cherry pick, bouncing around. It's definitely less of a cohesive show. Like show from the Wish tour is pretty
Right.
much a set list. They still swap some stuff and recorded it over a couple nights, but it follows the format of open and what their set list. And if you look at the set list on setlist.fm from the Paris shows, those still, are Wish show ones. They opened with open and went
Yeah.
and played high and everything. So,
Hmm.
but it's cool. This is kind of like the compiled alternate songs, almost like when we saw
Yeah.
the 2023 tour, it'd be like if you'd made a live album out of just like like cockatoos in 6 different ways and
right, the ones
1,000
that got
hours.
shifted in and out
That
through
weren't played every night. And as we get into the track listing on the new one too, I looked at which ones were played on which nights, and pretty much all of them, I think at most a couple of them got played both 2 of the 3, but none of them I don't think were like all 3 nights. So it's pretty cool.
Right. Yeah.
So that's rad. They should do that for every Cure tour. Looking at that now, I'm like, oh man, that's awesome. I would love that.
Yeah, that is pretty cool.
So yeah, the original track listing kicked off with Figurehead, which is a little odd. I always thought that was a strange choice for the opener. So Figurehead, 100 Years. We'll just breeze by that because we'll do the track by track for the new one here. But Figurehead, 100 Years, At Night, Play for Today, Apart, In Your House, Love Song, Catch, Letter to Elise, Dressing Up, Charlotte Sometimes, and closing with Close to Me, which is another kind of odd closer. If you think of actual reality Cure sets, they would never full on probably closer.
No, I mean, if anything, it would kick off like the encore set, or kind of be in the middle after some like, you know, the sadder rant. It'll be the one to ramp the crowd back up, kind of thing.
That's what a lot of these I think are kind of based on the encores too. Even Figurehead, we'll find out officially in a few minutes here, but I think it kicked off an encore, so that makes sense that like they came out and opened the encore with that, so it seemed like a good opener for the whole album to them, maybe. But still, some weird choices in there for sure. Even Love Song, I remember at the time, was pretty rare. Like on the Wish tour, they didn't play Love Song that much. It was kind of like they were, oh, that's the big single, you know, the big hit. We don't need to play that. Because when I saw them on that tour, they didn't even play it. So I remember being like, that was weird. It's like their big hit. Like, fuck it, we got Friday I'm in Love now. We don't need to play. So that was pretty cool. I remember being excited that they had that. And Letter to Elise, you know, like we've always said, is a rare one that should get played more than it does, you know. And so it was
absolutely
cool to capture that. So, yeah, the reshuffling of the track listing was interesting because I listened to the damn thing like 3 times, I think, before I even caught that. Like when I got it, I didn't catch it right away.
I didn't either until you texted me, and then I was like, well, obviously I know we've had 2 songs added.
Yeah.
So, but they sandwiched them.
Mm-hmm.
So it, like, if you're gonna kick it off with one of the new ones and end it, you still could have had the same track list down the middle.
Which,
you know,
totally would have made sense.
Which I'll go into my theory after we.
Okay, yeah, that's
go, after we go over it.
Not sure why. My theory initially was that they just wanted to kind of regroup more to how the actual set list was, but then I kind of nerded out for a few minutes and looked back at the actual 2 set list, and none of them really went back to back in the new way. I think there was only, what did I make a note of? 100 Years into Apart was a revision one on the new reissue, and that was night 3. They did do that, but I mean, I don't see why that you would reorder the whole sequence just for that. So I don't think that's the theory.
So let's go over that.
What do you think?
So the kickoff on the new one. So it Shake Dog Shake we get, which it was previously unreleased on Paris, but obviously played during the shows. And we also got Hot Hot Hot, which they put to close it out. So where things kind of go different, we've got Shake Dog Shake, the Figurehead, Play for Today, and At Night, In Your House, 100 Years. Then you get Apart kicking off the second, half. Love Song and A Letter to Elise, which I think those 3 in a row are actually kind of cool. I like it. Going together. And then you've got Catch, Charlotte Sometimes, Dressing Up, Close to Me, and Hot Hot Hot. So definitely not the same, even if you were to remove the 2 unreleased tracks. So theory.
Okay.
My theory is that this was specifically, so this is on double 180 gram vinyl, right? It's the timing.
Yeah, I can see that.
For the vinyl. So I went and did the math here. And for if you were to split this up to two records, and side one of the first record being three songs, in the way that they put it, Shake Dog Shake, Figurehead, Play for Today is 15 minutes and 80 seconds.
Yeah.
Had they taken Shake Dog Shake,
100 years.
Figurehead, and 100 years, it would have been 20 minutes and 72 seconds.
Yeah, those are two long ones there, Figurehead and
right.
100 years. Yeah, that makes total sense.
Yeah, so I'm looking and I'm like, okay, so this is definitely starting to make sense here. Now, also the last batch of songs makes sense because they're all short.
Mm-hmm.
Like Catch Charlotte Sometimes, Dressing Up, Close to Me, Hot Hot Hot, you know, come in like under 14 seconds.
Yeah.
I mean under 14 minutes. So you could fit that many. So you were like, well, compile those together. You know, these have to get cut because you couldn't do it because it would have been a little bit over 20 minutes. So then at that point, once you've shuffled one thing, it's like, well, let's just shuffle it all for, for the timing of the vinyl.
Because it's,
you know, since that's the one that's going to be affected most by the timing of the songs because of how much you can put on one side of a double LP.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it really, to me, is the only thing that makes sense.
Yeah, and that makes total sense because it's like typical Cure nerd thing where I'm sitting here like diving into, but yes, I get it. He wanted At Night and In Your House to be cousin songs, you know, because they go and it's like, nah, that's just because you can't fit it on the fucking record. It's like,
I mean, it also is what is going to make it stand apart if you've got the two aside from the unreleased tracks, maybe, you know, as a change, it doesn't bother me.
No, not at all. The fact that I didn't even notice it. If anything, I like it better when I really analyze it. I think a lot of it does flow a lot better.
It flowed very well when I put it on.
Because I thought that's what tipped me out with the idea of like maybe it was more like the set list because it does feel more like how they would group them in a like current day anyway, like within your house. And
maybe that's the thing. It's like maybe it was one of those things where like he regretted the way that set went. Yeah. And it was like, well, how would I put it now? And would it make sense with, you know?
Because they were so weird. That's why I was like confused. It was like, because even on that last stretch, it's like Catch, or was it a Love Song, Catch, Elise originally, and now it's Love Song, Letter to Elise, Catch. I was like, why would you just switch that one? Like, why would that matter? You know? And I was just like, okay, but
but even like I said, you know, think about, you know, you grab the second record, side one of the second LP. You've got a part Love Song and a Letter to Elise in a nice little like drop your needle and just turn it up. You know, like it's, I think each little, you know, each side 100% has a vibe. Shake Dog Shake, Figurehead, and Play for Today. Then it's like you stop, you flip it over, At Night, In Your House, 100 Years. Like there just seems to be, it make the listenability of the songs that are together on each side of the record totally makes sense.
Yeah, it could all be like a little EP even, you know, or it's like let's go. And surprisingly, even just the old one, I remember we probably made a note of that, of just how well it flows together, you know, for it being such a cherry-picked kind of no rhyme or reason, you know, like show kind of has the structure of Wish to keep it all in place with the singles, you know, but even that feels more like a greatest hits album in a sense, you know. Right?
Definitely.
But this always surprisingly flowed, even with the weird Figurehead and Closer of Close to Me, you know. It's all like, normally I'd be like, oh, that doesn't, but it works, you know, somehow. You know? It's like,
and I really like this version of Hot Hot Hot.
It's fun. Let's do it track by track and get that there, because I was surprised by it too, because just on paper, you know, it's kind of like the old set list with seeing the, because we knew in advance that Shake Dog Shake and Hot 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 were going to be the. And I was like, cool. I mean, I'm just happy to have anything extra. But at the same time, I'm like, there's no real shortage of live Shake Dog Shake by any means. You know, it's kind of like,
Yeah.
why? Okay, like
Because
hot.
especially in the more recent years where the accessibility of going to grab someone's cell phone camera or snuck in GoPro,
Yeah.
I mean, and that's been such a staple comeback song in the set. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? I mean, that's definitely, I would even say like that might be like if we pulled an award for like comeback song,
Yeah, that
like,
one's just like in
you
every
know,
set
but
now.
yeah, it's in every set now. It's the only good song on the record.
Ah. There we go.
Come on, I got to
There
throw
we
that
go.
jab in there.
Yeah.
Well, or the best song on that
Yeah.
record. I'll be more I'll be more
I see a little
optimistic.
tear coming down a caterpillar's face. Yeah.
Yes, yeah,
But,
yeah. It's like, what about me?
but and even hot, you know, I've kind of
Mhm.
always been indifferent to. I like it, but it's always a little sloppy live anyway and shit, you know. So I was kind of
Yeah,
like, I don't know, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. But
yeah. But I even think like years on the listen back, it was like, man, we really nailed that one that night. You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah, they
Like I
must have
wonder,
like
like
because
it's like,
yeah, they
damn,
must have
that
combed
sounded
through
good.
some stuff and been like, well, what do we want to add to make it different? And that one stood out somehow, which is cool. And we got a couple of
Yeah,
reasons,
I doubt it's one of those things where it's like, well, it's really a song I wanted to squeeze on there. Like,
right?
I think it definitely was like, well, what are some of the other tracks that really stood out,
Yeah,
and from listening standpoint. I mean, because the fact that Robert went and remastered it tells me that, he spent a lot of time listening and
yeah,
he's spent a lot of time dissecting it mentally and was like, well, I know there are things that can be done better, so let's just do
yeah.
it.
And maybe a good time to plug it here just for humor value of like while we were a little at first, but ultimately happy with Shake Dog Shake and Hot. I think some alternate ones when you look at the back, the actual full set list. There were some pretty fucking cool ones in those sets that they could have.
Mhm.
It's Not You. How cool would that have been? Unless they totally butchered it. I
Yeah.
don't know, but they never
Right.
play that
Yeah,
live,
yeah. I
and
know.
that would have
I
been
wonder if
cool.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, it's try to find see that's what I mean when this was like you can't like it's not as easy to just go find somebody's recording of it. You know
right.
what I mean?
Yeah,
Like
somebody.
anything in the last decade, it's like, Google it, you'll find it,
Yeah,
you know?
so, they played the big hand on 2 of the 3 nights, so that would have been cool to have like a live version
Yeah.
of. So I was like, shit, to Wish Impossible Things, but that one was technically on the full version of Show, so maybe they scrapped that. That would have been cool to have
Right.
too, but
Hmm.
but that one's on like the VHS of Show. Fire in Cairo would have been cool and rare. A Strange Day would have mixed in well. Faith, of course, would have been great, but that would have taken up a
Yeah,
whole
but here's the thing
extra
about
record.
Fire in Cairo. That song constantly comes on and off of streaming services because I feel like because people
That one
don't
too.
understand it. You know what I mean?
Really? That one too? Jesus.
I'm kidding.
Okay. I was like, God.
I'm poking on the
Yeah,
political
yeah. I thought you were
like
serious.
stance
Though. I
of
was
our
like, well,
world. Yeah,
ever since.
no,
Yeah.
they're like, oh, like what they burned
It's
down Cairo and it's
fires.
not right.
Yeah, I was like, it's
Yeah,
just a fire.
yeah.
Jeez.
And what was on fire?
Yeah,
The
we don't have
sand?
enough details to get all woke police on me here. um, so jumping someone else's train was played. That'd been cool. M is a good one that we don't have
Hmm.
and there was actually a forest/forever ending one of the nights there too, even which I totally get why they wouldn't have put that on, but that's a cool rarity, you know. So
Yeah, like I'd love to hear it, but
yeah,
I understand it not being on a record.
yeah. So while I probably would have picked some different ones, like you said, I'm sure they had reasons and they figured that those stood out. They were probably wanting to put like an actual single on there too and a fan favorite. So
Hmm.
I'm sure there was a little more weight to them totally catering to the nerds saying, "Oh, big hand, and it's not you."
Yeah,
Awesome, yeah.
exactly.
But I don't know if this reissue is even really winning over any new Cure fans. Who are you putting it out for at this point? It's not like this was.
It's definitely for guys like us.
Yeah,
Um,
but pretty cool.
or like like I said, I mean, our kids are into the Cure now. Our kids see us buying vinyl. Like, I could see right now like Henson walking into one of the local record spots and be like, Dad, I want this one. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
so this is something 100% Elvis would buy.
yeah.
You know,
And even something like
um,
Shake Dog Shake catching his eye more than even Figurehead or something. So he'd probably be down. Yeah, good point.
You know, so as much as I say it, you know, I think we are, well, I mean, you know, the three of us from this podcast are definitely, you know, are raising proper young Cure fans. I don't, you know, I don't know about everybody else.
Securing the future.
Ours haven't tossed it aside just because it's dad's nerdy thing yet. You know, so we're kind of lucky. You know?
I think so. So that's good. Hope for the future yet. So
yeah.
So yeah, let's take a quick look at each song. We won't totally dwell on them since you know, but there was a couple funny little side notes for each one that I jotted down anyway. But kicking it off with Shake Dog Shake, you know, like we said, not a huge surprise or anything, but it's definitely a tried and true opener, a great opening track ever, you know, and they proved that with an Orange. They've played that with many shows throughout the years, and yeah, it sounds great on this recording too, I think, and just does actually fit better. They only played it one night of the three, though. They opened, it was the opening track on night 3, so that might have been why too, because it opened the whole show on night 3. So
true. Well, I mean, then they definitely must have nailed it because they didn't even have 2 takes to like, or multiple takes to like go through. So that's, I mean, that, you know, that also makes it kind of cool.
Yeah,
you know, like if you know,
the one and only Paris performance of 1992.
Yeah, well, imagine if you were someone that got to attend this and you went to night 2.
Yeah,
and you know what I mean? Like that's one of the standouts that you didn't get to hear, and now it got put on this record.
Yeah.
You're running out to buy it.
Yeah. Totally.
You know,
very cool. And then followed by Figurehead, which was the original opener, but this one opened the second encore of night 2, and again, I think maybe the only time of the 3 they played it. And it's not normally something you would hear on an official Cure live album too. So again, while not the rarest of rare Cure songs, it's pretty damn rare in the fact that, you know, you're not getting this on the anniversary or something like that, you know, even at this point.
Yeah.
This is one that isn't going to pop up that frequently on anything live, and especially in a good quality format like this.
Totally.
The lead guitar is doing some cool shit on there. I'm assuming it's Pearl. Some of those early ones, it's a little hard to tell. Robert will still take it and surprise you with some cool stuff.
Right.
But it sounded pretty cool. I kind of feel like even listening to this whole thing again, because we've been so kind of modern day Cure focused on the live stuff, that it is nice to hear Pearl's guitar playing again. Like by this point, I felt like Pearl had definitely kind of gotten looser with it too, like more comfortable to kind of cut loose a bit more, like when you watch Show and stuff in particular. The way Reeves is getting comfortable now, I feel like this was
I was gonna say, I feel like there's a certain point where you have the trust of Robert to go off a little from the, you know, from that time per se,
especially with these older ones, the ones that were just the 3-piece. It stands out, you know, because you don't really get to rip the solo as much and stuff because there's just not as much room in there. But
but I mean, those are definitely the 2 greatest lead players the Cure have had throughout the years.
Yeah,
you know?
for sure.
I mean, there's just no doubt the power of both of those guys is just, you know, I mean, I understand people's like more personal attachment to Pearl, you know, obviously. But I mean, either one of them on any day of the week, I'd say, get up there and play.
Yeah.
You know, like I wouldn't be bummed if the Cure took Pearl out because Reeves couldn't or something. I'd be like, sick. You know, totally. Like,
it's pretty impressive. Then Play for Today, which got bumped up, maybe the biggest, about 2 slots maybe or so, which is pretty good bump up for Play for Today, which is good because that's a good rowdy one. It's probably the best capture of the fan singing along to the Cure, I think. Just
definitely,
just the crowd noise in general is like mixed really like appropriately high on this, like, or it's got a little.
I hate when I listen to a live record where they pull all of the crowd out, because then I'm like, all you did was give me a live studio.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, I want it in there enough to remind me that I'm listening to a live album, but not to take away from me hearing the songs.
Right. And I
So
don't
you're
want
right.
it,
This does that very
and
well.
I don't want it too like fucking Beatles Mania, where it's going through the whole like that Nirvana video. Or
Yes.
whatever.
Right. Yeah.
It's like they weren't cheering that loud through the whole song; they were singing along and just like
Exactly.
through the whole thing.
Yeah.
So,
Just nonstop, like it's like white noise in the background.
yeah,
You know,
it's like
like
shut up.
yeah, it's kind of like, it's like putting on an Elliott Smith record when it's raining and then opening your
Right,
windows.
it just blends right into. It's like, the album's a lot longer than I thought. Oh wait, it's the rain. Yes, good point. At night, again, another cool, rare but not rare one. This was played just night one, and yeah, it's kind of weird. I've kind of gone on a record where I'm always torn on the production of 17 Seconds, the album, because I love all the
Mhm.
tones and the sounds and everything. But something about it's almost like the performance of the songs, which is weird because they actually took those on the road for a good chunk before recording it. But it was like something like these live ones have a little more like life in them or something. Maybe the Cure was just.
Yeah.
Maybe because they
No,
rushed
that's
it. I think
definitely
that's
true.
what I always narrowed it down, because they recorded 17 seconds in like 2 weeks or some shit,
I was just
and it
gonna
was
say
like,
that was a short. Yeah, that was a very
man.
short recording.
But there's something
So it
about these
was.
live ones I always kind of like better than which is weird
Mhm.
because I love everything production wise that Mike Hedges did. But like At Night and In Your House, there's something where it feels a little bit more like real Cure, I think, because you have a little more lead
Yeah.
guitar going and stuff, and the atmosphere's there. But so I think these got nailed. I'm still not a huge fan. I go back and forth with At Night. It can kind of drag at times. We're just as, which I know is kind
Yeah.
of criminal to say to diehard Cure fans, but it just gets a. And I'm like, all right. You
Yeah.
start to kind of look at your watch by the end of it. I'm like, all right.
Yeah.
But
It also depends on like how are you listening to it?
yeah,
Like, if I'm listening to it on a road trip,
Mm-hmm.
it's I'm like, all right. But if I'm putting the record on and I'm running around my house like doing stuff and it's the background to me just getting stuff done,
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, yeah, it's all good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, so another cool one. Like I said, followed by In Your House. Just cool to have another good quality version of that, in there.
Mhm.
It's funny, I babbled about this way early on in the podcast, but like my first time seeing The Cure at the Wish Tour, they played 2 nights, and I went to just the first night. And then the second night, they alternated in a lot of these. And then I had friends at school that came to school the next day and like saying they played In Your House and they played 100 Years and shit. And
you're
it
like,
just killed me,
no.
But forever, though, I thought it was this full set list. I thought that Paris was like the bulk of what they played, like all of these. And then with the great invention of setlist.fm, I got to see there was only like 4 songs that they swapped in that I didn't, see. So I didn't feel quite as bad by it. But at the same time, it's kind of funny. And I just always think of that, though, when I hear these, because they were the ones I missed on night 2.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like,
Totally. And then we have 100 Years, which is always cool to hear live. And this version in particular is pretty badass. Night 1 and night 3, where they do the little dun, 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 little Foxy Lady outro there.
yeah, I don't know.
That's pretty cool. Cool. Apart is the other one. Again, a nice deep cut on that one, especially as the years go by. It's become more and more rare. And they played that on night 3 in Paris. Super rare. Sounds lovely. I don't recall it being 6 minutes, 6.5 minutes long.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
wow,
no,
that
it
one's
is.
pretty long, but that one's great and sounds very cool, especially with this era and lineup playing it too. So it's cool that it got captured. Love Song again at 3 minutes and 30 seconds. Encore 1 opener of night 2. So like I said, it was kind of rare for the era. So that was good that got captured. And one last time with the original lineup playing it.
Yeah.
And then the big moment that everyone must pause and brace themselves as we praise Letter to Elise here. We'll give everybody a break from praising pictures of you this episode and focus all our energy now as Antonio and I gush over Letter to Elise. So very cool to have this one.
One of the most beautiful songs ever written.
Yeah, and this one, it's just a great full band live version captured here too. No weird hiccups or anything. Still always just kind of surprises me that they don't have this in every set list. It's so weird, but
I know.
But yeah, I don't know. Are you happy to have that in there still? And,
without a doubt. Yeah.
I don't know how.
Like I said, I think that's a great little like threesome there.
Yeah, coming up is the. I noticed. I don't know how Spotify does it, but Apple kind of had that one as highlighted as the sort of single right before it appeared on my Apple. Anyway, it was the little.
Oh, really?
Like the honorary, if there were to be a single off of it kind of thing, they put the little star by the ones that's the most played, I guess, or something.
Oh, okay.
So,
A Letter to Elise was also is listed as a single on my Spotify.
Yeah. So good one to just choose, I guess. Give that another chance as a single. I always feel like it got kind of the shaft as a single anyway. So,
yeah, it definitely did.
Yeah, speaking of streaming too, it was really weird with the Apple one, and still is. I haven't looked at it. One, it took forever to kick in on mine. If you go to just the Cure on Apple, it's not. It's just the old version on there. But if you punch into the search of the Cure Paris, 2 versions pop up. Then you can click on the new one. So it might have been on there for a while, and I just didn't find it because I kept just going to the Cure and looking in their albums. So it was really weird.
Right, under discography. Yeah, when I go to Cure and I go to discography, it says Paris Live 1993, then Paris Live at the Zenith 1992. So that, that's where the difference is. They added like where it is and the year.
Yeah,
that,
maybe
that,
they
that it was recorded is the. Too. Yeah, I mean, usually the metadata is the same when you submit it to everyone, but not everyone is gonna doesn't have the same functionality. So it's just, that's where the technology difference is, and who's
could be some stupid setting
way.
On my phone or something too. Who the hell knows? Those things are so. Because that's how I found it. Where I was like, well, where the hell is it? Oh, I saw where it's the people when I saw that Scott from Starlight Digest had listened to it. I'm like, well, where the hell did he get it? So then I just punched it into the thing, and it was there, but you had to just search it separately. So I was like,
again. Like I've always said this, like when I was first getting into streaming, like which one was I gonna use?
Yeah.
I had gotten Apple Music for free at the time, but I found the user interface just not as like friendly and easy to navigate between things. And I found like the searchability, the playlist putting together and everything just better on Spotify. So I just stuck with Spotify.
Yeah. It's funny because I was the opposite, where I keep looking at Spotify and like I feel like they don't even on my free version anyway. And I think that's what it is. It probably changes once you actually subscribe to the thing, because they don't list the songs out. It's just like, here's a handful of the songs that are on it. All I see is like the album, and they're like, if you like.
Right, yeah. Well, that's like if I go to Apple Music too. Yeah, same thing. I can't listen to full records. It's very strange.
Yeah.
Huh. So.
Oh, well, I was just worried that they're going to start doing some exclusive bullshit too. At some point, that's going to start happening where it's like albums are only going to come out, the way movies are on Netflix, but not on Hulu and shit like that, where it's like at some point it's like, oh, our only album is only half our catalog is on Spotify, but the other half is exclusive to Apple. I think hopefully people will revolt.
Who even knows? Because I didn't think in 2024 that people would still be putting things on CD. If you told me 5 years ago that 5 years from now people will still be making CDs, I'd be like, no way.
Yeah, I know.
So like I said, there is something still kind of being held up. I mean, the popularity of vinyl helped with keeping physical music around, but also the same way that we went to vinyl when we were kids, our kids are looking at CDs.
Yeah,
like my son, like when we go to the record store, he hits the used CDs sometimes before he hits the used records.
That's what I do.
I'm with him.
I still do it.
Yeah. So It's very interesting, and I do the same thing now because they're cheap. A lot of
Yeah,
mine, I got rid of the jewel cases and the books, and I just have the actual CDs. A lot of them are scratched. A lot of them are,
yeah,
so I'm like, oh, this again for $2? Yeah. Especially since I was able to buy like a 5 disc, like stereo Sony CD player to
yeah.
put with my stereo system. That's like sometimes I do it. I fill it up with 6 CDs.
Just
I press
shuffle it.
play and I do what
Yeah,
yeah, and I'm just like, do what I'm doing. Because there is, it is a phenomenal sound that you get out of it, like
yeah,
that can't be denied out of the CDs. Like it's so much boom,
yeah, for sure.
But that's
Um,
enough ranting about that nerdy shit.
yeah, a
Stuff
little
that matters.
intermission, and let's round out the last few here. It was just catch. Great to have that too. It's always another kind of
Oh
forgotten
yeah.
single. Encore one opener on night one and night three. Somebody had cited on something I was reading that they considered this a wonky intro that Boris kind of bopped the, but it didn't sound exactly like the recording, but it's just kind of a rambly brush kind of. So I didn't
Yeah.
quite catch that.
Yeah.
But whatever.
No pun intended.
Yeah, it's like, yeah. Good luck nitpicking Boris's drum playing. Good, have fun with that.
Yeah.
I'll leave that to this whoever that was. But
Yeah.
so yeah, I love that song so much. So it is funny. It's just this with Letter to Elise, Catch. There are a lot of these just kind of personal favorite ones on there that Apart is such a cool song. Yeah, but Show It Sometimes is one that I think we may have even had on like concert at this point or something. So not super rare, but they played that. Night two sounds great. Anytime of these older live ones, it's cool just to hear the different keyboard parts too. That's a one where I feel like the
Yeah.
keyboards kind
Or
of change a
even
lot.
sometimes just, Robert does change up the melodies kind of
Yeah.
here and then, doesn't sing it the same.
No.
Um, which I don't mind. I'm like, that's
Yeah,
cool.
anything to
You
make it a
know?
little different. And it's
Yeah.
fun now, just them being around so long. Hearing his voice sounds a little different back then. It's like the different
Mhm.
little tones and stuff. It's almost like lower back then, which was weirder. I've mentioned that before, and I can
Yeah, because
never.
usually it kind of happens in the opposite way
Yeah,
for
you would
people,
think. I
you
think.
know.
Yeah, I could never quite
Well, like
articulate what
even
it is, but
yeah, like Bowie later in life it was like deeper Bowie,
yeah,
you
yeah.
know.
Most people they just start taking it
Like
down and just knocking everything
yeah.
down, keys and stuff. But Robert's almost gotten a little clear. I think it's drinking and stuff. Probably he's probably fucking 3 bottles of wine deep when he's singing this one. So he comes out. It's a little more sing, no, sing. He's
Yeah,
just
yeah,
he's on point because he's Robert Smith, but he's probably like now he's probably waiting till after the show to really hit it, or whatever. But
yeah. That's why
so
he's mixing it with orange juice, so
yeah,
it's not as much
exactly.
wine.
He was mixing it with friggin' acid or something back then, probably. Who knows? But then we got Dressing Up, which is a cool, rare one. So here's a good question for you with Topness. Do you think this saves it when it's live and has Simon playing it and stuff like that, or is it still just a meh?
It's definitely yeah. I still find it better than the studio. I like it better than the studio version.
Okay,
Yeah, because and that happens to me like there are Cure songs that not that I dislike,
right.
but that don't make my top. Even if we talk about a set list, that don't make my top 25 songs are just so much more enjoyable either watching it live on a DVD or listening to it live
Yeah,
because it does have it has a different feel to it.
yeah.
I'll always kind of like lean to some of that. I think it does amplify it for me.
Yeah, that's cool. We'll get into that more with the top anniversary if it's more the production or the performance on the record versus the actual songwriting. That's a good point of like when you don't like something, it's like, well, could this have been saved if they re-recorded the top now? Would you like it more or something like that? So something
Well,
to
it's
ponder.
also like when I hear the like it's like when I do sometimes hear the alternate versions
Hmm.
of stuff like the demo version when we got Wish, listening to the demo version like of like songs being slower or stuff. I'm like,
Yeah,
I don't think I wouldn't have liked this song like I like this song if it
right.
was this
This
way.
is the
I enjoy hearing where it originally came from,
right,
but like
right.
you don't feel anymore. You know, like all like in that one when he's all like mellow, and I'm like, nah, it doesn't work.
Yeah, sometimes, yeah. But yeah, 90% of the time they make the right decision with however they tweak it, you know, as the song goes, I think. Anyway, if anything, you just get sick of hearing the studio version and you're like, oh, this new version is different.
Yeah.
You know?
I just think with the top, you know, I think not having Simon also was like, you didn't have the voice of reason, and Robert was just like, I'm gonna do whatever the hell I want, and nobody's gonna tell me it's good, bad, or whatever. You know, like it's like I almost feel like Simon was his like musical moral compass.
Or if they were saying it to him, he didn't hear him because he was rushing out the door to go do something else at that time. You know?
Right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah, true. Like... Yeah, he was sneaking in the middle of the night and finishing up recordings because he had just gotten off stage with Susie.
It was funny. I was playing this though, and Henson, we heard just like dressing up, and he was like, "That's a weird ass song." I was like, "That is weird." You're not wrong. That's definitely a weird one. Synth, flute, and all. You know, it's just like, what? But I do like it. It's not one of my top favorites, but it is cool. And cool that the Cure, anytime they have a 2 minute and 50-second song, like we said, that's most of their intros right there. So the whole thing's pretty short.
I was thinking about it as I was adding up the timing of all these songs. I was like, oh, I was like, you know what? I'm like,
yeah, even that and Catch are like as long as most of the intros on Disintegration.
Yeah, totally.
You know? So, and then the original closer of Close to Me, which was a cool version of Close to Me. I like this one. I remember us praising it last time we talked about Paris, but it closed Encore 1 and 3. So, we did close out one Encore, so it was probably that one because it has a little more of a finale vibe to it, maybe. But it's a cool version, and somehow worked even as a closer. Maybe a little better. This would be like, I probably would have put Hot 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 before Close to Me and still kept Close to Me as a closer if it was up to me. But you know, I could see him wanting to just bookend it with the two new additions too, just for the sake of doing it. So as we look at Hot Hot Hot, the new one, what you think they would have made one of those two, the honorary single that isn't really a single, you know. But
they were the songs that got released before the full album. They did trickle. Well, at least Shake Dog Shake did.
Yeah, I tried. I had self-control when it comes to the Cure for once in my life and didn't listen to it. So I was like, I'll save those two, and I'm glad I did because Hot 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 is cool. Initially because it starts with the little and I just like commented to somebody, maybe they heard it in advance of that or something too, because somebody brought it up on a YouTube comment or something. They're asking what he says on the recording, the little and it got mentioned in the Curepedia, but it also just been mentioned in passing throughout the years. And I never 100% bought it, but somebody was saying that he was kind of mock singing that old song She. It's a French singer, Charles Aznavour, but I knew it from the Elvis Costello covered it on I didn't know it from the Notting Hill soundtrack, but it's just an Elvis Costello. That song's like,
that was a good soundtrack.
Maybe the
right, yes, yeah.
So yeah, that was cool, but I was always like, yeah, the first part of the melody sounds a little like that. And I was like, but the fact that dude's like a French singer, and then in this recording, he full on says the first line. So I think that pretty much 100% confirms that is what he's doing. So yeah, it's just a really surprisingly tight, you know, the Pearl's guitar sounds great on it. He sings it well. It's different from the recording. So I think it was a great addition going back to our initial, like they were listening through and we really nailed that one, you know. And and Bunny Lake was sitting next to him, goes, "Yeah, Robert, put that one on." Thanks, Bunny. So yeah, I think that's cool. Even though, you know, I probably still would have chose one of those other cool, rarer ones, but you know, Hot Hot Hot, I still stand by that.
Yeah, I'm not disappointed. At all. I think the song Shake Up was good.
Yeah.
And now from a sound standpoint,
yes, So.
I think this remaster, remix, however they want to call it, fantastic.
Yeah.
I mean,
Miles
it
Showell.
so it is so well balanced because I remember thinking, damn, the drums sound great, and that like they're just cutting through, and then Robert starts singing, and I'm like, but you're not losing Robert, and it's not sounding unbalanced.
Yeah.
And then, you know, like you said, the crowd noise is just enough where it is and where it isn't, and definitely chef's kiss to the sound.
Yeah.
They nailed it.
Yeah.
Completely nailed it.
I mean, it probably helped. I felt like the original one was done really well too. You know, I think.
Yeah,
so.
I mean, you weren't
starting off.
You weren't tearing down the house and rebuilding it. You were really just you know, you were shining it up for today's listening. For you know, the years of, man, I wish that was a little louder, or maybe that was too loud. You get to make that adjustment now.
Yeah.
So why not? You know,
yeah, exactly.
It can't hurt.
And yeah, it
so
could
I
be
think that
why
was
those
totally
lead guitar parts in particular and stuff were standing out a little bit more. You know, it might just be little things.
Yeah, they could have gotten lost in those original ones because they didn't want it to be too trebly.
Yeah.
You know, and now, you know, with the way that the mastering is done and with all the different technology today, you know, it's a lot easier to run it through certain things, to eliminate certain sounds or to elevate certain sounds. You know, they're just some phenomenal plugins that it's like, holy shit, you know, and he probably did it in his little bedroom studio in his pajamas like he did during COVID.
Totally.
You know?
Yeah. And Miles Showell, I feel like, did help out with like at least show, but I feel like it was some of those other reissues. That's been a name that's popped up a few times. So yeah, anybody weary on the vinyl or CD, I think both are sounding amazing. Yes, definitely. Even the streaming, you know, for whatever that's worth, I feel like they've all held up. I haven't noticed anything that resembled, you know, that was a weird choice. Even it's just all like, this is how it's supposed to sound.
Nothing sounded strange to me whatsoever. So I've been extremely happy with it. I almost wish, because of the artwork, I'm like, I would have been cool with a picture disc.
Yeah.
So
now we all
because it would be a cool one to have on the actual vinyl, and like, it's like, well, you've been doing them anyway.
Yeah. The packaging is, as far as that goes, that's always a big deal with these reissues. You know, the picture disc, yeah, whatever. But yeah, at this point, might as well have one of those too.
I mean, that's the one thing I do wish. That is my critique. I kind of wanted maybe a little bit more of an insert that maybe had some photos from the concert.
Yeah, a little bit the booklet kind of thing, especially on the CD. Yeah. But you know, it's always been kind of a nice bonus album anyway, so it's kind of like, you know, it's never
maybe
meant
there
to be
is
that
something
elaborate.
to the simplicity, you know,
so.
as well. And and again, like, it was done, like, the vinyl cut great, sounds great. You know, I definitely can't complain. If
the attention and money went into just making it sound good, I'm totally happy with that.
Absolutely. You know, I think the one thing that you'll probably bring up that you mentioned that is different, artwork wise, from new to old.
Yes. The word or name Paris is in red on the new cover, and the picture's a little bigger. Not too much different on there. I've always had a side note that might ruin this album cover for a lot of people, but ever since I was a kid and being a Star Wars nerd, that picture always reminded me of like the Emperor a little bit, you know, because his.
Oh my God, I totally see it. Wow.
Because the hair shadows or the hair.
Oh my God.
Totally looks like the wrinkles under his eyes, like he's fucking Palpatine.
Me, you, and Scott right now all have our hair standing up on the back of our heads. Yeah.
It's like, do it.
Shout out to the Sarlacc Digest.
so hopefully I didn't totally ruin that for everybody, but he always looked a little Emperor.
I am the cure.
But I like it.
Yeah. But also, even, you know, so not only that, but if you do notice, some of the tape placement or fake tape thereof is different.
Yeah.
So on the record, the Paris that's now in red has tape to the right next to the S.
Yeah.
That's not like that on the original. And even on the back as well, if you flip it over, um, the fake tape on like the bottom where it says recorded live at
Yeah,
is in the tape is in different placement
yeah,
as well.
which is
So
odd because you would
just a
think
random nerdy stupid thing,
it
but
was kind of like the wish one where you'd think they would just took the exact image and either just blotted some shit out or like but they actually moved.
right, it's not so drastic that I'm like, what the hell is this? This
Nah,
is
yeah,
not,
you really
you
have to
know.
look at it, and most people wouldn't even
Yeah.
catch it. I guess worth noting, the CD is kind of like a cardboard digipack more than it's not in like a old school case or anything. So that's like
Yeah.
everything.
Well, kind of like what they did with the Wish one
Yeah,
also,
like
right?
a
It
thin
was in a
version of
fold
what
out.
they did for Wish.
Yeah.
But so yeah, that's pretty
Which
cool.
I don't mind because then you don't get the plastic scratching up
Yeah, I kind of hate the
necessarily,
plastic cases. Were annoying.
Yeah, because as they start to look crappy, whatever's behind it looks
Although the
crappy.
paper ones do get beat up a lot faster when I'm like, even my Wish
Do.
one's all
Yes.
fucking ripping
Mhm.
apart already and shit. So just,
Yeah.
I mean, I guess
True.
I'm just happy because they still protect the CD. So, it's jobs being done. So it's just
Yeah. Yeah.
protecting
Exactly.
it. But
Mission
yeah.
accomplished.
Yeah, so it looks good. I always like the red and white on black looks better than just all white
Me
on
too.
black. So
Yeah.
that looks cool. Great radio,
Yeah.
huh? With just like
Yeah,
sticker
us
post.
staring at something that you can't see
So,
as you're listening in your car or on
yeah.
your walk or on your
People are
or at
swerving all over
work.
the road trying to look at their CD cover.
Yeah.
But yeah, very cool artwork. I always liked it too. That and show. I like the tape on it, because they use kind of the same idea with show's album cover
Sure.
and
Yeah.
stuff,
Yeah.
which is cool.
Yeah. It's that cohesiveness between the time and the tie between the two.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's super. Like again, I'm loving getting some stuff like this. Obviously, it's kind of helping the the urge of the frustration of not having a new record a little
Mm-hmm.
bit. Um, so I'll take it.
Yeah, exactly. And I had a little rant on the Patreon about that, so I'll spare everybody the double up, but the quick version big. Don't worry, I don't think this interfered with some people online were like, "Oh, great, now he's focused on this for the," and it's
Yeah,
like,
no,
I'm
that's
sure Robert's totally capable of, this has probably been done for ages anyway, probably before the tour even, it's something they just sat on
yeah.
and we're waiting to get it printed up. But yeah, rest assured, I'm sure this,
Mhm.
of many reasons that are holding up the new album, I'm sure this isn't one of them. So you can still purchase
Yeah.
this and feel happy and content that it's not distracting Robert, I don't think so.
Yeah. But I also think it's great what Rhino Records is doing.
Yeah,
Getting a lot of this stuff. And I'm sure you guys have seen some of it. New Order Substance got released at the end of last year
mm-hmm.
by Rhino, re-released. And when you look at some of these like just amazing artists and amazing albums that they have, like it's just nuts. I guess I kind of never really realized just how deep and awesome and in depth the Rhino catalog is.
Yeah,
It's another one of the best packagings I've ever seen on a vinyl record.
mm-hmm.
Is also that came out March 8th. Was Alice Cooper Billion Dollar Babies $1 trillion Deluxe Edition is in the coolest jacket I have ever seen for a vinyl record.
Oh, yeah.
That like almost looks like a snake skin wallet. Like in the colors are really vibrant. It's just freaking phenomenal.
Awesome.
They just re-put out Television Marquee Moon.
Mm-hmm.
And I just feel that's such an underrated record
Yeah,
and underrated
great.
band that I just love. Coming up, they're re-releasing Diamond Dogs, David Bowie in May. Going to be launching some Ramones stuff later in the year.
Yeah,
It's just super cool.
List goes on and on.
The list is
And
phenomenal.
I think
And
it's just the preservation of it all. They've always been so good at that, and the go-to.
yeah,
because they really do it. Like all those replacement ones that they've done billions versions of have been great. And
that's kind of and like that's kind of where it brought. So as the listeners know, like kind of I do marketing for Past Blue Ribbon Beer, and one of the great things that we've been doing is really working in coordination with Rhino Records, doing some listening parties for these albums.
Mm-hmm.
So I will be April 4th. I will be at Selva in Bushwick, New York. a great new bar slash record store slash art space that my buddy Dave Castillo, who is one of the owners of St. Vitus, it's one of his new places. So April 4th from 7 to 10, I will be there playing the Cure Paris vinyl and then spinning like another couple hours of all Cure, all vinyl. So for anyone kind of in the New York City area, if you want to come down and say what's up, have a chance to win a copy of the record, just
Nice.
be amongst Cure fans, listening to the Cure, and just spending a Thursday night having a couple drinks and celebrating this release. I will be there doing that. Super
That
excited.
sounds awesome, man. I wish I could make it up for that. That sounds great. You just put Paris on, close your eyes, have the right amount of drinks, you'll be there, you know?
Yeah, and like I said, I'm gonna do an all vinyl set. I'm very rarely do I like to let my Cure vinyl leave the house, but I'm gonna do it.
Nice. Special occasions, yeah.
Special occasions call for it. So thank you again to Rhino Records for kind of pairing with us and doing this kind of stuff and putting a spotlight on such great albums and continuing to put out physical media. So.
Yeah. Cool. And we'll keep, reminders flowing for that on the social medias. Keep your eyes peeled too, so everyone can get more of those details. We'll put it in the descriptions even on this. So that'll be cool.
Yeah.
If anyone's in the area, check it out. And I guess, yeah, as we start to wind down too, just on the, great job Rhino does with this and preservation of these great albums. This one in particular, not only because the vinyl was so rare, but just the Cure's history in general, when you really look at it too, that this is kind of the finale of the golden era. When you think about it, we had Boris's swan song with Burn, but really this is the last time we have, Pearl and Boris, all playing together in this kind of what a lot of people consider.
It is a very legacy lineup for the Cure.
Yeah.
And it's either people's, like you said, probably favorite lineup or a close second.
Yeah.
It is it is a pretty magical time in Cure history.
Yeah.
Which we can say at 40 plus years.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. We know a lot of really diehard Cure fans that they kind of tap out after this point, and it's almost this is kind of the
and that's one of the things that always
I don't get it, but yeah.
that doesn't. Well, it surprises me, and it doesn't surprise me. That I think when you've got such a great body of work, even if your fan base is divided with the times and albums, it's a good problem to have.
Yeah.
As opposed to some iconic. I mean, even the Beatles, like Beatles don't even have as big of a catalog necessarily. It's tough. I mean, it's the same thing like Elvis Presley fandom.
Mm-hmm.
You've got people that love very early Elvis Presley, then you've got and don't like chubby Vegas Elvis,
right?
and it's like, hey, it's a good problem to have. Like it's fine.
Yeah.
But you'll always get that.
But I think just on the idea of the reissues, it is important to not let things like this slip through the cracks, because these are the ones that will kill you. If it just was one busted up ass CD sitting on your collection, that's the only way you could hear it, or streaming. Luckily it was still on streaming, the old version, but this is stuff that needs to be preserved and glossed up and have it in the Cure rotation for the little ones out there that can be like, oh yeah. This is the last Boris live that we're getting. This is the last and last time you're gonna hear a part probably on anything. So so I think it is cool. And always thankful for that, and they need to do more of it. If anything, I want it all, it's like, let's keep them rolling, man. Let's get those deluxe reissues out. Let's get them all going. So very cool.
Bring them to the printing press. I'm in.
So
take my money.
So good job, everybody, all the way around. Miles, Showell, Robert Smith, Rhino,
Yeah.
whoever the hell's up top of that, Fiction and Electra for still allowing everybody to put everything out. And
Yeah, that's also something that's great also too about, those times, the different releases through the different areas and the different labels and all kind of working in coordination for the better of the music, as opposed to, the issues you have where some stuff doesn't get released because of old battles that people are having with like different labels, and they're on another label now, and it's like that's got nothing to do with those of us that love the music. So just find a way to make it work.
Yeah, I think
I
still feel like that was the holdup with Wish. I felt like there was still, and there are some different names on that spine and stuff.
Yeah.
There was some weird legal shit. I think that I don't know why that one album would have had more, but somebody was holding on to that and being a complete prick about it, I think.
Yeah.
So I mean,
maybe someday we'll know, more if we ever get that documentary also that allegedly is happening. They're getting permission from every label at every concert and every producer.
So who knows? It was like one dude that didn't check his email for like 4 years.
Exactly.
It's like, good Lord. But
it's like, Bob, come on, get that out of your spam.
It turns out it was Robert
Let's
Smith.
make this happen.
I was like, whoops.
Yeah.
It's all right. He's allowed to. But very cool, man. And I guess we'll wrap on that note.
Thanks to all our listeners for listening to us rant one more time.
Yeah, it's always fun. And just being sappy, it's always great. Any kind of Cure release, you still get those shivers and excitement factor. It can be some old ass thing I've listened to a billion times, but it's slightly different, slightly new, something that we all already know we love. It's actually a safer bet, really. So it's kind of nice. And,
exactly.
It's pretty cool. So I recommend anyone that hasn't pulled the trigger yet, definitely go out and pick this up. It seems like it's pretty widely available. You don't have to just order it from their weird ass Universal merch shop or anything. I think it's out there. It should be at all your record shops even at this point. So
I'm also hoping we see some I really wouldn't mind a sweatshirt or a t-shirt with this graphic on it. For those higher ups listening.
Why not?
Bobby, if you're on here, if you're listening, buddy,
get Bunny Lake to do it if you're too busy. Bunny's on that shit. So very cool. So go turn it up. Make sure it's loud. It's instructions on the inside. You gotta turn it up loud. And on that note, we'll see. Go see Antonio on the 4th. Is it?
Yep, April 4th. And then, also, Cult Leader, new EP, Haunted, streaming everywhere on the Bandcamp and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
Gavin dropped some new music, too.
Yeah, go check out some Minox. We got me and my buddy Ryan's collaboration. So that's streaming everywhere.
A very fun, chill record. You guys mix like chill and fun really well.
Thanks.
It's got a great vibe to it. Feeling it.
Thank you. Yeah. All right, man. Well, you guys out there, thanks for listening, and go turn it up, and we'll catch you next time on the Holy Hour. Talk hard.
Yeah.
All right, again, a very special thank you to Antonio. And if you are in the Bushwick, Brooklyn area, April 4th, go see Antonio over at Selva, spinning Paris and other Cure tunes deep into the night. And as always, this show would be nothing without our loyal supporters of the Patreon. So join me as I honor Donna, Craig, Jeff Hilton, Jeff Cortland Jones, Sue, Ben, John, Alan, Allison, Dion, Namicio, Matt, Danny Coulter, Matt Ford, Tom Johnson, Tom Burns, Bunny Lake, Letty, John Roberts, Francisco, Jason, Craig Bellinger, Amber, Nicholas, Arno, Chad, and Tanya. who would also like to spread awareness on 988lifeline.org, a suicide and crisis hotline with over 200 crisis call centers located all over the U.S., available 24/7, offering free and confidential support for people in distress and numerous prevention and crisis resources. Call or chat online if you or anyone you know is in need of help. Tim is part of New Waterloo, independent hospitality development, design, and management company that owns and operates hotels and restaurants all over the U.S. and are now international as well. Find their locations at newwaterloo.com to book a relaxing stay and or a delicious meal for your next getaway. Follow Cure fan Scott Kruger as he's working hard over there at the Sarlacc Digest, the coolest Star Wars podcast in the galaxy, and it's going so well that they're also expanding. Not only can you catch the Sarlacc Digest every Wednesday evening at 8 p.m. on YouTube or Facebook, you can also catch their new bi-weekly show, Sarlacc Toy Chest, focusing on the collecting side of Star Wars. It's everything from new release to figure announcements to vintage toy spotlights and everything in between. Every other Monday at 5 p.m. Pacific time. And then on top of that, they have Beyond the Pit, a pre-recorded show that will take up the other Monday slot beginning April 1st, also at 5:30 p.m. Pacific time. And that covers comics, television shows, movies, books, everything nerdy that you want to know more about. And you can track all this down via the Sarlacc Digest page on YouTube. So now you can keep your entire month nerdy with Scott and the crew. Dana is a motion designer and animator ready to help out your business or project. Check out her amazing work at graphics.tv. That's graphics with an X.tv. She's got a killer graphics reel over there on display and includes all her contacts and social media links, so go get in touch. Kate's website, curethreads.com, is a Cure merch dream come true. It offers up a seemingly endless variety of Cure-inspired artwork on all sorts of products. Be sure to check it out and her other project, Cure Arts Collab, on Instagram. She just posted a new announcement calling for your designs of a record sleeve of any Cure song to compile for Robert's 65th birthday celebration. Go to Cure Arts Collab on Instagram to get all the project details and be sure to be a part of the celebration. Time to get your Cure art out there. And if you are up in Calgary, Canada, follow Lisa's advice and head on over to Dickens, the coolest venue in Calgary. Go to dickensyyc.com and you can see the full list of upcoming events on their schedule. Or follow Jessica's advice and go on down to Club Nevermore in Little Rock, Arkansas and get your goth on. Their big 5-year anniversary party is approaching at the end of the month, on the 26th of April to be exact. Visit clubnevermore.com for a full list of details and other events. And of course, check out our buddy Chaz's other podcast, The Excommunication Station, where he, Donovan, and Chrissy strike the wrath of God down on the dark side of the religious community, streaming it everywhere that you stream your podcasts. And again, go give Antonio's new EP, Cult Leader Haunted, a spin over on streaming media. Check out mine, too, if you want. The Minox, our second collaboration with my buddy. It's called Minox 2. Be sure to subscribe and check out all things Holy Hour podcast related. And follow the Instagram page, the Facebook page, the YouTube page, and all that business. Or you can just email me at gavinconner@gmail.com anytime. So until then, thanks for listening. We hope you enjoyed Paris. And go see Antonio over at Selva on April 4th. We'll talk to you soon and catch you next time on another action-packed episode of The Holy Hour. Talk hard.